Josh from Grapplezilla. Today, I am really happy to have a good friend of mine on named Liav Ben Shalom. And he's one of the best coaches for kids I know. He deals with all the different martial arts as well as he has a long history of teaching kids as an educator. So here today, we're going to speak about his thoughts and his experiences with all the knowledge he has towards kids. So Liav, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Josh. Thank you for having me.
Always, man. Always. I love the little anime dolls. I know you're a big anime fan. We'll talk about that a
Yeah.
little later in the show.
All right.
And I think that's good for kids. Like, I'm one guy who likes anime, like good kids. Broaden the imagination. So, Leah, just quick, your background in martial arts, which ones do you practice, like, for a long time? Or like?
I've been teaching as a coach for 15 years. Before that, I learned in Petah Tikva, in a city in Israel. I learned Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've learned boxing, MMA, Muay Thai, and wrestling. I did that on Team Scorpion. And after that, I moved to Tel Aviv and started my own business. And now I'm teaching in the south and north of Tel Aviv, doing private lessons, and also I have groups for kids and also for adults. But I'm focusing on the children from the age of 3, and I'm teaching them, some of them I'm teaching Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, some of them, and obviously I'm mixing that with wrestling, and some of them are teaching, I'm actually teaching Muay Thai and boxing.
I believe also your everyday career is also teaching kids or in school, right?
Yes, exactly. I have a program that it's actually in the hours of the school. I'm going there, and for 45 minutes and an hour, I'm teaching them the basic self-defense techniques, and I'm also mixing that with Jiu-Jitsu, and then obviously it depends what age they are and what I'm capable of teaching them. For example, I have kids and I have schools that are not so religious, and then I can teach them also Jiu-Jitsu. But I'm also teaching in schools that are religious, and it's a little bit different with the girls. Jiu-Jitsu, so I'm doing karate and I'm doing self-defense, and it's very important to know what the community needs and how it fits in. And it's amazing, and a lot of people from the obviously from the school are coming to my after-school classes.
Okay, so basically, from what I understand, you're full spectrum teaching. You're like all the time teaching, especially with kids. And your academy, would most of your students be kids or women or men? Like, where's your cut on there? To me, it seems it was kids, right?
Yeah. Well, when I started learning martial arts in Petah Tikva, my coach Moshe Rubinov said to me that you're good with kids, and you should learn it. You should actually do the diploma, so I can be a coach. And then I did that, and then immediately I started off with him, seeing him how he's speaking to the children. And after like 1 year, just a little bit less than that, I started doing my own thing, and it hit it off because every coach, I think, again, this is my personal belief, some people say different, but I think that every coach, every instructor should be a kid. If he wants to teach kids, he needs to also be a kid. And that is extremely important, because if you want to get to the kids, you have to be like them. You have to speak sometimes in the same tones, but obviously you have to be also an adult. So you kind of like play the game, just like we're playing the game in the Matrix. We're playing a game with kids, and they know how to behave and know how to respond to you if you are with them, if you are in their level. But obviously they need also discipline. So we need to balance that in the right way, because things can get, quite different if you're not matching their expectations.
Like regarding knowing, was there a moment like where you felt, okay, I'm good at training kids? Like when was that moment that you understood that as an instructor?
From the start, because as a person, I'm like a trickster. I'm like the Joker. I make fun also of serious things, but I take them seriously. So, for example, the challenge with kids is to have patience. A lot of coaches don't have patience. Sometimes they're getting confused because they think that teaching kids is also like teaching an adults, in a way that they're going to listen to you if you are an authority. But that doesn't work like that. They're going to try you. They're going to do some manipulations so they can see if you are with them. And obviously every kid is different. It comes from a different background. Some people are growing with parents. Some people don't have parents. Some people are having bad divorce. Some people are having good family. Okay, so it's very important that I will know a little bit of the background of the kid. That's why I'm speaking to parents. It's extremely important. Some people are taking kids and they're teaching kids and they don't know their emotional background. They don't know how to speak to them, because immediately when you speak to a kid and he is crying and you think it's you, but no, it's something that he experienced maybe in the kindergarten, maybe experienced in school before you, and it triggers him. So I'm just like the kid. I know how to make them laugh. I know how to make them giggle, and I also expect them to be serious, because it's quite easy for me because I'm an adult, but I'm also having the spirit of a child, and that's why I'm doing this for 15 years.
So, I can understand it. Like, just to recap, between kids and adults, I mean, if you look at it, is it more difficult to train kids than adults, or adults and kids?
Every class is challenging. Every class has its own, challenges. And I would like to say that because I'm doing this for the kids, because in the end of the day, when I started teaching kids, I said to myself that kids needs to be protected in any way, shape or form. They need to be protected, because what's happening right now with children, with education, with a lot of stuff that's going on around the world, they don't have somebody to look to help them, and I think that adults are having they can some kind of like take care of themselves, but in the end of the day, adults, and this is for your question, adults have more traumas. Okay, they're coming to learn martial arts. Some of them for fitness, some of them for security, some of them for a lot of different reasons, for coordinations and stuff like that. But in the end of the day, they are working. It's a therapy. It's a therapy. Not always what you want is what you actually need. And they need this therapy. A lot of people, men and women. So it's kind of like difficult because they're going through a lot of stages that sometimes they don't want to go to practice because they are tired from work. I'm teaching people that are 20, 30, 40 and a half, 50 and 60-year-old that are training with in the class and also private, and I can see their struggle, and I can see how they are doing amazing, okay? But with kids, you just need to give them the hug. I mean a hug in a sense of listening to them, of giving them more attention. Adults need less attention, and it's difficult with kids in a sense that you have to bring them to discipline. After 1 month, they're disciplined, then they're yours. Obviously, if you give them the confidence and the laughter and the fun that they need, because in the end of the day, parents want me to teach them martial arts, but I'm also telling all parents, I'm telling them, listen, obviously I'm teaching them martial arts, but in the end of the day, they need to experience that they're having fun with it, okay, and they're feeling secured. That's it. And other than that, it's up to them. So it's challenging with kids in a different way, and it's challenging with adults in a different way.
With kids, there's also another element that you don't have with adults. Two elements. The first is that the kid is in a process of developing who they are. So you can have a very big impact on them, as well as you don't just have to deal with the kid, you need to deal with the parents as well, because that's a big challenge, isn't it?
That's the triangle. That's a triangle: parents, kids, and coach. When I said that kids is a little bit easier, in a sense, yes, but in a different way, it's more challenging for me to get to the heart of the kid and to get to the where are the buttons. Okay, because with an adults, you can see the buttons, you can see what ticks them, you can see what edges them, what they don't like and what they like. With kids, it's a very challenging thing, and a lot of kids that are coming to class. For example, I have one child that came a year ago, and he started crying. He started crying and started to ask the questions. How is things in the house? And she felt to mention that they got divorced, and it was a very bad divorce, and it impacted the kid. And when parents are taking their kids, child or girl, to martial art class, any class for that matter, but especially for martial arts, they need to let the coach know just a little bit of the past of the kid, okay? Because some kids are emotional, some kids that I can see that are autistic, their parents don't see them. They don't see them as they don't see it, because I can see, because I'm teaching also kids that are autistic for many years, and I can see sometimes the patterns, and I'm not talking to parents about that, but I'm seeing that I need to give just a little bit more attention to the kid, and teaching them just a little bit slow from the other kids. So I'm trying to match every kid expectations and how I can fill the gap that he's not having. So it's very difficult in a class of 30. I have sometimes 30 kids in one class, so it's very challenging. And sometimes the parents are saying, you can give all of them attention, and I said yes. And I have also helpers, which are grown. They're in the 5th and 6th grade, and I'm teaching them how to speak to kids, and then they're getting a lot of it. And eventually some of them wants to be also teachers.
That's very interesting. I think I've taught kids in the past, and one of the things I noticed that was I wouldn't say a challenge, but I took in consideration, and I'm sure you have, is that some kids they learn verbally, like through their ears. You have to explain to them. Some are visual, and then some are kinesthetic, so they need to actually do it. They need to physically feel it, and so how do you deal with that? Because that's also a very, very tricky thing, because if you teach in the wrong method, you might think a kid might not get it, but you know what I mean? Maybe you need to teach it from
yes. Obviously, it matches the age. If I'm teaching people kids in kindergarten from the age of 3 to 6 is a different method. From 7 to 9 is different. From 10 to 14 is different. From 15 to kind of like 18, they're kind of like in the middle of getting to the adults. To the adults class, because today 15-year-olds are looking like an adult. And it's challenging. The thing is that with the kids in kindergarten, first of all, when you're talking to them, if you're talking directly only to one child or to a boy or to a girl, you have to knee. You have to take a knee. You have to speak to them on the eye level. Is extremely important. Extremely important. You need to speak to them. And for example, one kid did a move and he was not very, he thought that he did it wrong. And he started crying. And he got up and I said to him, why are you crying? And he said, I couldn't make the move. And I said to them, it's okay to cry. You know, some parents are saying, okay, stop crying, it's okay, it's not a big deal or something like that. No, it is a big deal. It is a big deal for a kid. It doesn't matter what background he came, it is a big deal. We are saying stop crying or wipe your tears or something like that because we don't have patience as parents. But if we have just a little bit of patience, we let them cry it out. I'm always saying to them, listen, I know that you're crying. I know that you're feeling bad. It's okay to cry. Okay? It's okay to cry and you can cry. But after that, wipe your tears. And I want to see how you're doing the move again, how you're passing the guard, how you are punching. I want to see that and then I can correct you because I think that you're doing that good. And then he's getting up, you know, and he sees that the coach has full attention on him. So his confidence is getting back, and he's doing the move. And I said, okay, now do the move again. And he's doing the move again. I said, good. And then I'm giving him a high five. And then immediately it's not only for class, it's also what's happened after class in the house when he's meeting parents. His confidence is going up. All right, just because of, you know, how we talked and how I let him express himself. You understand? So, for example, with the children in school, it's a little bit different. When they're having some kind of emotional thing, maybe when they did sparring or when they fight, he got injured. Okay, on the toe, he's kicking and he's feeling his toe and he's like, oh, limping, and he said, I don't want to do it. And I said to them, okay, you can sit down where it's hurting. Okay, now think about it that way. If something happens like that happened to you on the street and you were hurt, do you think someone cared? Okay, no one cared. So you have to let yourself just a little bit, take a breather, and then come again and do the fight again. Just like when a person is getting drowned. Obviously, I'm not saying that to every kid because some kids they want to go with the injury and they feel like it's the whole world for them. But when I'm seeing that it's not the whole world for them and they're just kind of playing it out, I'm telling them, just wait a second and then go back. Just like a person when he is going to the beach. He's going to the beach, he's getting drowned, he's losing grip, and he is fainting. Someone saves him doing CPR, whatever, how do you say that? Mouth to mouth, CPR, okay, and he's coughing, and then they told him, listen, you were drowning. Immediately, this person needs to go back to the sea. He needs to go back. He needs to experience that immediately again, because when he's not experiencing that, and he's saying, no, I'm not getting into the beach, this thing happens to a trainer of mine that is not going to the beach. He's not getting into the water, just a little bit to the pool, but not to the water, not to the sea. Why is that? Because he experienced that he was drowning as a kid, and then no one took his trauma and then put his trauma again, so he can feel that it's not a big deal. It happens, it happens because it happened, okay? And it's not happening all the time. And exactly that, I'm taking the kid and I'm saying to them, listen, you're going to do the same fight again against that person, against the same person and with the same intensity. I'm going to look and I'm going to see how you're kicking. And if you're kicking and it jams your toe, then maybe you are a little bit closer. You need to go back. So I'm matching their emotion and their physical ability together. I'm trying to. Not all the time works, but it does the job.
So, yeah, it's an interesting viewpoint, and I trust it works for you very well. Now, getting to the actual physical preparation of kids from the martial arts, not just the emotional. In your experience, I mean, you teach both grappling, striking. What do you find easier to teach them from 2 points? The first is from actually being able to do the technique itself, and second, from being able to control themselves from not hurting someone doing that technique.
Again, the question you're asking if
what's easier to teach, grappling or striking?
Okay, I will answer to you to that, because I think that it could be easier in grappling and it could be easier in striker. It depends what age you're teaching them. Okay, now grappling, it's easier because it lets you rest. Simple as that. They're on the ground. They're not resting, but they kind of like resting because it's just like kind of wrestling. Okay, it's wrestling. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's wrestling with submissions. That's what it is. Okay, just like Sambo. Okay, obviously you have different different submission, different rules. Yes, exactly. What you can do, what you cannot do, but it's just the same. The thing is that with striking, it's easier because they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 that they're doing, and they are repeating that throughout the years. Obviously, you have different techniques when you're adding spinning hooks and spinning kicks and question mark kicks or different spinning elbows and stuff like that. But in the end of the day, if you are studying striking for a year, full year, 4 times a week, for 1 year, 2, 3 years, you kind of like know. If you have a good coach, you kind of like know how to manage. And then you got to repeat that. With Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, with wrestling, if you don't, if you're not practicing that, you're not going to get the whole all the techniques, all the moves, all the rolls, because there are a lot of different variations in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's why it's so crafty, because you will never be full with Jiu-Jitsu. Even if you're a black belt, red belt, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be you're not going to know everything. Okay, but the thing is that you got to have the basics. If you know and you're learning ground game for a year and striking for a year, and you're doing that very, very constantly, and you're doing that for 4 days a week, you kind of like know how to defend yourself on the street. Okay, this is what I think, and I think for kids it's much more easier to do grappling, and for adults it's more easy to do striking. Okay.
What do you do? Just a question. What do you do to make sure they don't get injured? The kids.
Okay. The getting injuries with kids is first of all, you got to have a safety net to secure everything. For example, if they're running in the gym, you shouldn't have anything on the mat, anything that can make them fall. Now you got to have always eyes to see where they're running, or because obviously they have games, they're playing with a ball. It's not always techniques for martial arts and how to defend and how to do a takedown and how to do the back take and how to do the mount. They need to have also fun, but in a way that they're having fun through martial arts. So the games are also connected to martial arts. So for your questions regards to the injuries, I do think that they need to experience that. And I'm also telling them, when you're doing the move, not to kids in kindergarten, but the kids that are studying. I'm lining them up and I'm saying to them, listen, you have to experience mistakes. In martial arts, you have to make mistakes, because you cannot learn if you don't make mistakes. You're going to have maybe sometimes injuries, okay, not big ones, but small ones, and you got to get through with that. When you're going to do that, you're going to lift yourself up. You're not only going to be a warrior, you're not only be able to have confidence and to defend yourself, but you're also going to be a strong, independent person. And that's important. When you're saying to them from the start that they're going to be independent and they need to rely on themselves, no one here is to care for them. No one, even their parents. Their parents are not going to be there all the time. You need to make the right decisions. They need to make them fast. They don't need to give energy to everybody that is nice to them. They need to always work with their senses as a fighter, because as a fighter you see dangers coming. Okay, obviously if you're doing that for many years. So regards to the injuries, let me give you some example. When I'm doing a takedown, when they're doing a takedown, the kids always, I'm telling them the right knee or the left knee, whatever they're doing the takedown, the right knee needs to be inside between the legs of the opponent, because when they're taking down, they can put the knee on their toes. Okay, or if they're doing the takedown and they're lifting the leg up and the other guy falls, he can knee them to the chin. Okay, so those things are kind of happening, and I'm telling them, listen, put the head outside. But if you're putting the head outside, do it obviously that it's stuck to the other guy's leg, but lift your chin up, because if you're going to tuck him down, they can guillotine you, they can submit you, and stuff like that. So this is just like the little things that I'm telling them, but it's not always working. When they're sparring, they're getting injuries all the time.
You mentioned you do a lot of games with the kids, on top of course technique. What are some examples of the games you use to get kids to learn?
Okay, first of all, when they are running, and when I'm saying stop, mate, they're stopping. They need, first of all, with games, they need to listen. Okay? Now, obviously, they're listening to me when I'm teaching class, but when they're running, their adrenaline goes up, and I'm saying stop. They need to stop immediately. So they need to be in focus with me while they're having their adrenaline up. For example, if a fighter goes to the cage in the UFC and he's punching, there's a lot of noise, there's cameras, everybody sees him around the world. He needs to listen to his coach. That's one of the most difficult things ever, because he's in the zone right now, his adrenaline pumps up, and most of them don't hear what the coach is saying. Okay, even after the break, after the first round, the coach is talking. Sometimes they're listening, sometimes they're not. Okay, and it happens also on the street. Also on the street, if something happens, they need to listen to what's coming towards them. So first of all, it's listening while their adrenaline kicks in. So they're running, I'm saying stop, they're stopping immediately with the hands up, with the fighting stance, and they're doing 10 push-ups, or they're doing a squat, or they're doing something like that. While I'm having a ball, I'm throwing to them. While they're doing squats, they need to catch the ball. So they need to be in full attention of what they're doing, of listening to me, and also catching the ball. So it's three things at once. Okay? Now, this is only the basics. For example, we have hula hoops. You know the hula hoops?
Yeah.
Okay? So we have hula hoops for hula hoops. There's one group here, one group there, other groups, and every group is doing, for example, takedown drill. Takedown drills. The other ones doing punching drills. The other ones doing bridge. Okay, I'm bridging. Okay, if someone is taking taking the mount, and some of them are doing coordination techniques where they're switching the legs without falling, and it's extremely important to have a coordination. Besides martial arts, having coordination and not falling to the ground immediately, it takes time, because kids, especially in kindergarten, they like to fall to the ground. So they're doing that as a game, and I'm saying to them, stop, okay, because we are running right now, okay, and if they're going to the ground, I'm catching them. Well, there's one kid, there's a couple of kids that are always falling, and then I'm taking them. They're amazing kids. They're funny. I'm taking their gi, their dash, and I'm putting them up in the air like I'm threatening them. And all the kids are laughing, and they're laughing. This is the last time that you're going to fall. Do you hear me? If not, I'm going to bite your ear. And then they're falling to the ground. They're laughing. Obviously, I'm making fun, and they're all giggling. Then they understand. You understand? Because you got to give them a joke. You got to give them a laughter so they can be serious. Inside of a joke, there is a lot of truth to that, especially with kids. So you have to laugh with them. You cannot be serious all the time. We're sitting down, where I'm teaching a technique, they're doing the technique. It's not only for kids in kindergarten, also for kids in school. Especially girls. Girls want to laugh as much as boys want to laugh. Obviously, it's different to teach girls from boys. You have to know how to speak to them, okay? Because they're coming and they're a little bit emotional, because sometimes I'm putting them with boys and they're fighting, and it's not easy for a girl. A girl that does sparring with boys, this is amazing. I take my hat off that, because it's amazing. They're having a lot of difficult things inside their life, and now they're letting a boy fight with them and grapple with them. It's amazing. So they can take that and say, I can defend myself if a boy attacks me. And yeah.
I just have one question. With that, I've always been impressed by girls who want to spar. Obviously, there's reality. It's like they're not going to spar Francis Ngannou in full contact. Very good. It's very good, because it's not the actual technicality, the technical approach of sparring. It's the fact that emotionally they're going against someone stronger for the most part, someone bigger for the most part, and someone faster for the most part. So I always found that to be interesting. And just before I forget the question, because I had this one question I wanted to ask. So when you're teaching kids, like we said before, you also have to deal with the parents, which obviously, and there's great parents out there, and etc. What do you do if a kid has too much pressure being put on by their parents for the martial art itself? Like they wanted to have a champion and they get angry if they fall or something, or if they lose a match or something. How do you deal with that?
Okay. Expectations from parents to the kids is a trigger to their own lives. Okay? When a parent wants something, whether it's a mother or a father, they need to know, when they're putting their kids into martial arts, they need to know, first of all, that they're coming for values. This is what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on giving the kids values, and for them to get their image, okay, and more as an adult, to teach them street smart through martial arts, how to behave, how to be a good person, I'm not focusing on taking kids to tournaments. That's not my deal. If for example, if one parent saying, listen, I want to go to a tournament, we can do that. I'm saying to them, yes. But in general, I'm taking them to the tournament. But in general, I'm not taking all the kids to tournaments. Not because I don't want to, because with competition, it's a huge thing, because they think that competition is the most important thing when they're putting their kids in martial arts. That's not true. The whole purpose of martial arts is to have the kid get self-confidence so they can walk on the streets, and if something happens, they can react, or at least know how to react. They're not going to react 100% like they're, not all the time like they're getting, they're teaching, they're actually getting the information from class. They can react in 20-30% even knowledge. Just for that, it's okay. So having a competition is a big deal because they think it's the ultimate goal. I'm putting them in after-school activity to do martial arts because I want them to be a champion. No, first of all, you got to have him grow as a good person. After that, if he has talent and if he wants that, there are a lot of kids that want that but don't have the fighting spirit. In competition, in tournaments, you got to have a couple of things. Also kids and also adults. First of all, you got to be in shape, like really good shape. You got to have talent, because there are a lot of talented kids, and you got to have fighting spirits. 3 things. Fighting spirit. Fighting spirits is the most important thing. Even if you don't have the gas to finish the second round, you have fighting spirits, you're going to finish the fight. That happens all the time. Okay? Even if the other guy has more talented than you and you have a fighting spirit to stay in the fight, you're going to stay in the fight most of the time. Sometimes not. So the expectations of the parents, they think that not all of them, when they want something for their kid, they're not asking him, you know, do you want to do a tournament? Usually the kids are saying yes. They're saying yes. But in the end of the day, I see them in class, and I know that they're not fitting to do a tournament. This is the hard reality. They're not fitting to do a tournament. Why? Because A, maybe they don't have the right talent, or they do have, but they're lacking fighting spirit. When they're sparring with other kids, the other kids are having more spirit, and they're always winning them. Okay? So you gotta have, and you don't want to hurt the so-called feelings of the parents. But it's not with me. I'm saying to the parents, listen, my word is the final word. Some parents are saying, okay, I will take my kid to elsewhere. Be my guest, no problem. I'm not feeling bad that I'm losing a kid. I'm feeling bad in the end of the day that I'm losing a kid because he did something for me. Because all the kids are teaching me. Obviously, I'm teaching them martial arts. I'm teaching them how to be a better person. I'm teaching them how to have values. I'm teaching them how to help their mother when they're carrying a bag. I'm teaching them how to speak to, how to choose friends. Choose friends is the most important thing also for children. But in the end of the day, they're teaching me every time for 15 years, they're teaching me how to be a better coach. So to say to the parents, listen, this is my profession. This is what I see. He's not fitting for a tournament, and that's it. So they see that I'm staying with my position, and they're letting that go, because I don't want their kid to experience bad thing, because in the end of the day, after that, he's not going to come to class afterwards. He's not going to, because he experienced a whole lot of beating. He experienced that he lost a lot, okay, which is okay for kids. It's okay, but if you don't have the fighting experience and you are emotionally involved and you did nothing, like you felt you felt like you did nothing, it could be the opposite reaction. So every kid is a little bit different.
Now, on to you. We all get older, right? You've been doing this for a while. What's your personal development as a martial artist right now? Is it more towards BJJ, striking, or fitness, or like yourself? How do you improve yourself as a martial artist every day?
I'm doing boxing. I have a father that he actually puts his kid into my class, and he was a former boxing champion, so he's holding pads for me. So I'm doing boxing. I'm doing more stand-up and a little bit of MMA. But in the end of the day, I have so-called bad knees. And I need to keep them, as much as healthier, because then I will not be able to do what I do. For example, I don't run. It's not good for the knees. I don't run. I do only, I swim. I do pads. And I also in my house do some push-ups, just self.
Keep fit.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, also with the nutrition is extremely important when you get to 40 and above. Nutrition is, I think, for me, is the most important thing, even more than training. So
I would have to agree. I would actually have to agree on that.
yeah.
So that's the physical. Now let's talk about interests. Do you follow any combat sports?
Yeah, of course. We're having a lot of UFC nights with my team. I have an adult and adult team that we're doing like full production, and we're doing this in a club in Tel Aviv that is owned by one of my students, and we're having UFC nights, and it's fantastic, because then they're actually seeing the fights and they see, oh, I did that in practice, oh, I did that in practice, and then I'm saying to them, listen, now he needs to go low, he needs to low kick him because he's standing really, really heavy on the leg. The coach needs to say that, and immediately it happens, and they're going, wow, how do you know that? It's not how I knew that, and then I knew that because I'm always teaching you in class not to be steady, to always move, to bounce, to have an ability to move all the time. Some of them are not doing that because of being in shape, because if you're moving more, then you're losing more gas. So I'm doing UFC nights. I'm watching one for me is top notch. One of the best tournaments. One, and what they're doing right now in Japan and in Korea with the fights in Japan in one championship is I think for me is better than the UFC. But we have to put it into context. They're using a lot of things that in the UFC they have a lot of checks in regards to drugs and stuff like that. But they're putting up a show for sure.
I'm a huge fan of one as well, and what I like about them, it has a feel for the most part like Pride, where they still have they really focus on stylistic matches, but not. And we'll get into this later, not the style of MMA, but actually bringing in a guy who's like a top tier kickboxer or like for example, an African wrestler, etc., like Rugrug. And what happens is you have these incredible matchups,
Amazing.
And you can really get some type of evolution, or if you're looking to improve your game, like a martial arts game, it's a very good place to watch. Now, that said, there's a massive fight that I'm not sure if it's going to happen or it is happening between Islam Makhachev and Ilya Tapuria in the UFC, or they're talking about maybe putting it. Who do you have there?
I will tell you honestly, the UFC is going to wait a little bit, because right now what happens in the UFC, they want to sign with ESPN again, and ESPN is making making it a little bit difficult for the UFC. The UFC wants $1 billion. ESPN don't want to, so I think that they're waiting for this announcement if they're re-signing with ESPN. If not, they're going to go to Fox. In the end of the day, it's all about money and all about where it's broadcasting. Because if you wanna schedule a fight, you want it to be in a big network where you're getting a lot of money. Obviously, it's a UFC. But if that happens, this is going to be, I think it's going to be a box office. I think it's going to be one of the biggest UFC fights that they ever seen since Conor McGregor. And where do I think it's going to go? That's going to be I'm going to give an edge to Islam because he is his striking ability started to rise up. He's getting the striking done. He had a huge problem with striking and he got hurt. Obviously, Ilya is all-rounded. I don't know if in this weight class he can manage with his stamina, with being in shape for 5 rounds. It's going to be challenging. He said that he did that. If he did that, oh man, this is going to be a treat. If we're going to have 5 rounds, it could be over in 5 after 5 rounds or a decision. This is where I think. But if it's going to be over, it's going to be over in after 1 round. Because Islam is going to be afraid to get knocked out. Ilya has bombs. I don't think that he has bombs on this weight class, but he has bombs in his hand. So it's gonna be treat.
It's a good analysis. I have to agree with most of it. I think Ilya has got the better boxing for sure, and he also has a great ground. He knows how to wrestle, but I think Islam puts it together better over a longer period against much harder opponents, like very top-level opponents. So I'd give the edge to Islam personally, but in this fight, anything can happen as well. The real winner will be with the people watching, man, because this is one of those fights that everyone goes, oh yeah, you know? So that's there, and it's also kind of it's a fight that might or might not catalyze, like be the start of a new evolution, because this is Dagestan versus Georgia or Spain, but Ilya's Georgian.
Yeah, where the wrestling goes. I will tell you honestly, if Ilya puts him down, holy cow, this is going to be amazing. If he gets him down, if he chooses to go to the ground, Ilya is not going to be afraid. This is what I can say, Ilya, you are one of the best. Because he will choose to stay on the feet for sure. And Islam will want to take him down. Everybody knows that. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight. It's going to be an interesting fight. And
I think it's the fight. Now, MMA, I've been watching since 93, 94. And I've seen the whole evolution. Where does MMA go in the future? And will we see much more evolution in the ring?
Just like in football and let's just say soccer, after Messi and Ronaldo, what we're going to see? It's a little bit difficult because when you have 2 guys that are scoring 50 goals in a season, it's very hard to match that, for example, in soccer. So what we're seeing right now in MMA is that more people... I don't think that we're going to see that much evolution because you cannot do an evolution with MMA unless you're giving them authorization to certain drugs, or to different kind of gloves. And the gloves, they already tried it. You cannot grab if you don't have an MMA glove. But I do think that they need to put up a rule against eye pokes. This is extremely important. Eye pokes are extremely important. If some fighter do 2 times, and obviously you can see that on the camera, if he does it the 3rd time, they need to take out a point. This is where you're going to see, I think even in 2 times where it's too obvious, and the UFC wants the fight to continue. But in the end of the day, the fighters are getting injured. Yeah. Fighters are getting injured, and they need to keep them safe. So, and it's very interesting because on one championship, when I saw MMA fights or Muay Thai fights with MMA gloves, I didn't see no eye pokes. It's only in the UFC. I saw 2 events in one. Never seen an eye poke. I don't know what's that. Maybe obviously the threat is more than if you're going to eye poke him. We're going to take down a point. But regards to evolution, we're seeing that right now with the Dagestanis and yeah, I think that one is going to inspire a lot of different organizations to put up a great fights. But it needs to be money involved, and no one can compete with the UFC. No one right now. So it's a little bit difficult, the monopoly.
The UFC, MMA has become, in a way, its own style. Like the original goal of MMA when it was first started was to find out which style works the best, right? But as time goes by, of course, the first one, if we don't look at Shuto and all the Pancrase events or Valentua events prior, but the first real one that did it for everyone was UFC. Of course, Royce Gracie won that, and that was the cataclysmic change in martial arts. Of course, being Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which we both do and we both love. But as time came by, you saw Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu going to freestyle wrestling. Then the kickboxers came, knocked them out, and then what happened? The wrestlers came back, and then the Jiu-Jitsu guys came with BTT, etc. And it's always this evolution. But during that evolutionary process, MMA wasn't its own style, and I think now
exactly.
MMA is a style, and I think because of that, it's harder for it to evolve without external influences. Now, why?
Exactly, and I want to go back to the question that you've asked me. Right now, I do think that the only evolution that should be, and right now fighters are looking to do Dagestani wrestling because they see that they cannot match that. When they have a fighter that comes from Dagestan and he's doing 5 years, 2 years, whatever that is in Dagestan, training and in wrestling, they see that they don't have any kind of loophole to win the fight. So now, from freestyle Greco-Roman, American wrestling style, college wrestling, now they're switching to a little bit of Sambo, to a little bit of Dagestani wrestling, so they can be on the top of the UFC. They can take the belt. All right, and this is the only evolution that I think, because right now the Dagestanis are taking over because they're great fighters. They're very great fighters and intelligent fighters.
I think what you said holds a lot. Now, just to clarify, because I'm a wrestler, I understand what you say by Dagestani wrestling, but Dagestani wrestling is actually more or less freestyle wrestling. But they do it at the highest level, and the difference is it's highly technical. Plus, you have a lot of guys. Everyone wrestles in Dagestan, but even if you do judo, you're going to probably do wrestling somewhat with other touchers, sambo. So I think that whole combination, and I think I have a whole theory. It has to do a lot with, because the styles they have are very top orientated and top dominated instead of bottom. They end up always on top and in a dominant position, and also the training methodology as much as it's old school, it's also the best training in the world if you want to produce a fighter at the
Exactly.
moment. You have other places like you have Kazakhstan right now who has some great fighters, and you'll see the stands coming. But right now, I think I would say the Kafkaz, the Caucasus. And just to say, a lot of fighters, it's funny, a lot of people point out wrestlers and they think they're Dagestani, but they're actually a lot of times Ossetian. So that also might come in too. And Ossetia is a little more closer to, I mean, the style is different. Even how they train is a bit different, you know? Like Ossetians, it's more strict and regimented. Dagestani, it's very strict and regimented, but they allow them to use the move and develop more. So it's interesting.
Okay. They're using more strikes.
Well, not in the wrestling, but yes, in their MMA they are, right? They definitely have brought in the striking for sure. And I think any school you go there, you're just going to have 50, 60 guys on the mats who are just top notch. Now, going to a sport that we both love, which is BJJ, what do you think of modern BJJ compared to BJJ of 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? It's definitely evolved to something else. Like technically, it's beautiful.
It's
functionally, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So you just nailed it. It's evolving. It's evolving like crazy. The moves, the styles. Now you see less gi. You have no gi more, and you have gi. You have no gi with strikes. So it matches what's happening on the street with the street fight with open palms. Eddie Bravo's doing that, which is amazing. I do think. Yes, I think it's amazing. I think this is amazing because, but if you don't involve striking, the leg locks are there. This is the game right now. This is the game in BJJ, the leg locks. When you are an extremely good leg locker and you can submit people on the legs, you are in the top of the game. If you know how to escape leg submissions, you are on a class of your own. So defense is more important in BJJ than offense, because when you have good defending from an arm bar, from a choke, and especially from knees and ankle locks and stuff like that, everyone will feel frustrated because you can defend just also almost anything, and then the offense comes along. Just, Gordon Ryan is doing that, or Jones is doing that amazing. Musamechi is doing that, and what's the other guy's name? Rolo.
There's so many of them that etc. You have
exactly.
Beautiful grapplers.
Yeah, and I find
not in the looks.
Exactly, and I'm saying all the time, if those guys are going to be just like average, just a little bit more than average of a striker, they can be a good MMA fighters. But you don't see a lot of great high-level jiu-jitsu guys going through MMA and just tearing it. You see a lot of wrestlers, because they have more base. They're not afraid to get their body dirty. Okay, and I'm going to add to the question. So they are evolving in the ground game for leg locks, and they're doing all kinds of things. But in the other side, they're just sleeping. They're just moving, and they're not giving wrestling the props that they need. Okay, they're not getting their hands dirty. They're not doing. The sitting guard is amazing. Obviously, people are saying, "Oh, well, you cannot pass the guard, then it's your problem." No. They should be both of them standing up, and if he wants to pull guard, he needs to pull guard on him. So the rules are giving an edge to the BJJ guys, not more than to the wrestlers, which is okay, but on the street, no one is going to care if you're going to sit down. No one is going to care. You will start on the street on the foot with your palms, with your fists, and then let's see if you can pull guard. If you can pull guard, excellent. You know, but you will get kicked, you will get punched in this
Concrete
process.
also. Concrete's not so.
Exactly.
So I
I don't care about in the street. I always say that. People say, okay, but if I will have trouble to take him down double leg, I say, do single leg. Yeah, but he can strike me. I'm saying to all the people, if he's going to strike your head while you're taking a single leg, you will have too much energy that in the end of the day you're going to hoist him up or you're going to trip him and then you're going to get him to fall down. Because when he's striking, he's not defending the takedown.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, of your first thing where you said leg locks are king in jiu-jitsu no gi especially, I somewhat agree with that. I think it is in terms of the globe, but I think at the very top level of submission grappling, it already evolved. I think as we saw in the last Abu Dhabi, I think right now leg locks, people like at the very top, and you're right, they learned how to defend them. So now everyone's focusing on the next thing to attain top position, which is wrestling. Okay, and I see it with a lot of top guys now. The wrestling hasn't come into the masses yet. Okay, it's still leg locks, and you're 100% right.
We don't want that. I don't want wrestling to come. Listen to take. Listen, wrestling. This is what I personally believe. Greco-Roman, freestyle wrestling, whatever wrestling that is, it's for the street. That's it. Wrestling is for the street. If you know wrestling for a year, no one is going to mess with you. No one is going to mess with you.
Boxing, you have a pretty tough guy.
Yeah. I think that Eddie Bravo and Joe Rogan were right. If you know boxing for a year and you're doing that 4 or 5 times a week and you're doing wrestling at the same time, you're good. You're good. You're good. Even if you're going to meet somebody that does jiu-jitsu, it doesn't matter because you're going to host him up and you're going to put him into the concrete ground. So. Yeah. I think that wrestling is for MMA and for the street.
But it is coming into high-level grappling, and they're trying to mix it with jiu-jitsu, which they're having a lot of success in.
Yeah, but I don't want to see that no more because they're too sweaty. What I want to see is top-notch wrestling on the Olympics. That's where the animals are. Then you're going to see what wrestling is. Wrestling is the most crafty, most athletic, most agility, most shape. This is the highest of the high as far as training goes and as far as sports goes. Wrestling is there is wrestling and there is other sports.
No, I didn't mean. By the way, I agree with you on everything you said, but what I mean is, for example, Gordon Ryan I don't know if it's now, he just came out, but he's out with a DVD where he's teaching wrestling. John Donner is teaching wrestling. Now they don't want to become wrestlers, but they're adding it to the jiu-jitsu game.
Amazing. John is amazing. John is an amazing coach, but Gordon Ryan is also intelligent, but Gordon Ryan is having just a little bit of he has a major crisis with his health. He's not healthy. He pretends that he's healthy. He's not healthy. He used to take steroids. He admitted that, and it killed his gut. So yeah, I don't know if it's going to continue.
Here's a question. So everyone at the higher level, they're all doing wrestling now, especially Nick Rodriguez. He just beat Kainan Dorian, etc.
Yeah.
But what happened?
Oh, he did? He did? I saw just some clips. What, he submitted him?
Yeah, he submitted if I remember.
No way, but
I'm a bit old, so I don't remember all the time, but yeah.
No, but Eduardo was on it. He at the first of the fight, he put him down. He did. All right, nice.
I believe, and if I was wrong, guys, put in the comments, no problem. I have no problem being wrong. But my question, Liav, is what is the evolution after wrestling? So everyone learns how to wrestle. Now, jiu-jitsu, the beauty of it, you can always evolve out of the sport because of the rule set is quite open, right? So where do you see the evolution coming? So you had leg locks, which then got people to do wrestling because they knew how to defend, but then people know how to defend on wrestling. So where's the evolution, in your opinion?
It's a little bit difficult to answer to that because just like fashion, um, uh, they all the designers did everything. Now they're going back to the 70s. Now they're putting clothes that were on the 70s, on the 60s, on the 50s. So it's a little bit difficult, but obviously with a lot of people are using today AI. I don't like to use it because I'm not that kind of a guy. I only like it when it's when it's pure natural. But they can do an AI and say, okay, this AI said that we're going to do that. This move could be amazing, and then you can evolve from that, obviously. But to evolve in martial arts, you just need to practice it more and more and more, because everybody can tap to a certain submission that they haven't heard of. It depends what is the right moment to do that. It depends it depends on a lot of different things, but I do think that right now with wrestling that comes out from different other countries, you have it all. You just need to go and train. So I don't think that it's going to be evolved. I don't think that obviously you can see a star in wrestling, just like when we saw Fedor and we saw a lot of great MMA fighters that were stars. You're going to see some stars in the future in the UFC, in the MMA world, in the Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling, but I don't think that you're going to see an improvement or something new towards that martial art.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Another thing that's interesting is you are a massive anime fan, as we can tell by the cool anime dolls they have there. What got you into anime? And do you like any of the martial arts anime that's been released, like Baki or all that?
Well, how much time do you have? I know. But listen, when I was young, I saw the movie Akira, 1988, one of the best movies that you're going to see as far as an art goes. Japanese anime is very special to me because it taught me how to be a better coach, a better father, a better a person in general. Obviously, I have a kid that he's 6-year-old. He taught me a lot about life. A lot of the kids that I'm teaching taught me a lot of different things about myself for the last 15 years. And Japanese anime has a way that it can touch you in an extreme way, whether it's crying, is hurting, is painful, is laughter. The Japanese are extreme in everything that they do, and everything that they're putting out got to be 100%. The art form is painting, and painting I love, and painting the moves is very, very special. Storytelling. The Japanese are the best in storytelling, and they're also giving a very, very high praises for a lot of different fighters. If you're seeing the clip of Fedor going through the streets of Tokyo, people are just thinking that they're seeing Kami. Kami is a god in Japanese. They don't want to take pictures with him. They're not doing selfies. They're giving him the respect, bowing, just shaking his hand, just touching him. Just see that he is a real deal. So the Japanese culture is very much closer to my heart, because it teaches you about the triggers in your life and the things that you're afraid of, and it hurts, and you're crying, and you're obviously seeing TV series and you're seeing movies, but it affects your life because you're seeing yourself inside of the story. And I can go on and on and on and talk to you about Dragon Ball, about Naruto, and what it does to martial arts, and how it teaches kids not to never give up, And also, what is the value of friends? What are friends? And what is family? And how things can turn to bad in just split moment, and you can have your whole life, being torn apart from you, and then you got to pick yourself up. So it's a ride, man. It's a ride. People just need to choose the right anime and the right story, and from that day forward, they're going to watch only that. This is what I personally believe. And I'm 42, so usually people are thinking that this thing is for kids. The people that are making the anime and making the manga, which is the story, is people that are 70 and 80-year-old people. So.
The amount of guys I know above 40 who like anime is amazing. Now, here's one question. If you had to recommend 2 anime shows for a beginner to watch, what would they be?
Beginner? What age?
Let's say my
because the Japanese are they can put up some sexual content, and also
But let's say above their 40s.
40s. You want hardcore things? You got my boy Guts. But there is no anime. There is the manga, which is the books, 17 books, just like that. This is the darkest that you're going to get. But if you want something that is more uplifting and more laughter and more emotional, I say Naruto, and if you want to laugh a lot and to have just an amazing ride, is Dragon Ball. But you have also things that are psychological, criminal psychological. You have Death Note. Watch Death Note. All right, there you go. This is for you, Death Note.
So we're getting close in here, but I want to ask you, what are your future plans?
My future plans is to continue to do what I do, is to teach martial arts, especially for kids. It's very important that people will understand that teaching kids in the martial arts, it's not luxury. Parents think it's a luxury when they're putting them in after-school classes. Think it's luxury. It's not luxury. It's basic. Martial arts needs to be in school as a program. I don't say that as a grade to give them a grade for that, but they needed to learn martial art before someone is teaching them math, or they're teaching them whatever that is. Because in the end of the day, kids need to be protected, and they need to know how to protect themselves, and they need to make it playful. This is important. And right now in Israel, we don't have it. And it's extremely sad thing for me, but it's also giving me the opportunity to tell the parents that is a must thing, not only for the kids and also for adults. So it's not luxury, is something that they must do, and I'm planning to go on and teach. Obviously my body is not the same as I was, but as I said, I'm trying to keep it healthy, to eat well, to train, and to say no also to things that I usually liked. For example, playing soccer. I'm not playing soccer. It's bad for the knees. I'm not playing basketball. It's bad for the knees. Even if I don't have bad knees, even a person that is fit and he's playing, for example, by the way, my students, my adult students, I'm not letting them, play soccer or basketball. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying to them, please just don't do that on a regular basis, because if you're not doing that professionally, you're going to get injured on the knees, on the ankle, on the... People are tearing their knee immediately. Just now, people are not touching them. They're just doing one move and that's it. One person had 3 kids, didn't move. 3 kids. I said to them, don't play basketball. He played basketball. He tore his knee up, and then he cannot walk. That's the ego thing. People need to work with their ego, and they need to see where they're capable and where they're not capable, but taking the ride. Learning martial art could be an amazing experience, and you don't need to get injured. In fact, if people look at the statistics, it's harder to get injured if you're not doing that professionally. It's very hard to get injured in a big way for martial art than other sports, which involves a ball. So this is the statistics. Okay, so because most people, when they're taking martial art, they're thinking about violence, fighting, and they think that there's more injuries. But if you're not doing that professionally, if you're doing that with the right way, you're going to have just small injuries, but in the you're going to manage.
And last but not least, what do you want the audience to know about you, and where can they find you? And guys, whatever he says, I'm going to put in the description so you can check out later of his socials.
Thank you for saying that. I'm teaching in the in south and north of Tel Aviv, which is the big city in Israel. Private lessons, and also I have groups for kids and also for adults. If you want to come, Josh is going to put it out there. What I want the people to know about me is that that martial arts is a playful thing, and we need to play. We need to play because playing is just like the Joker. The Joker seems to have a bad rap, but he's actually good. He is exposing what's happening around the world, and he's doing that with laughter. So the dark side is you can laugh about the dark side, because once you do that, you find yourself in a position that you have guts, that you're working on yourself. So that's why martial arts is a therapy. I think everybody should do that. I think everybody should just start to do that just a little bit, so they can have a feel of what is it to go through life in an easy way, but also in a hard way. So if you want to come and train, not only with me, with different kind of trainers, that will be gigantic for you. And thank you for having me, Josh. Thank you. I really appreciate that, man.
Well, thank you for coming on. And guys, for more content and more information about Liav, I'll have it in the description. And also regarding us, if you could like and subscribe, it really helps out the channel and my podcast as well as I have some great Grapplezilla gear in the shop. So check it out. I have the link now on my YouTube, etc. So yeah, it's always a pleasure. Until then, till next time, grab, throw, and tap.